Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a whole new season of reactions for House of the Dragon. And you know what that means? It's time for me to wear the crown again, even though it looks completely ridiculous on my big head. But we are back with the first episode of season 2. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I didn't get to watch it on Sunday when it came out, but I just watched it today. And excited to share my thoughts with it with all of you. Now, quick recap: if you haven't seen my previous reactions, I really like House of Dragon season 1. It actually has grown on me a lot more than my first watch through. My first watch, I was like kind of annoyed at all the little changes they made to like the characters and backstory and stuff like that. But looking back on it now, after I've had some time to sit with it, I've grown to kind of greatly appreciate all the little like accuracies they do from the book. Like they put a lot of details in from the books that the main Game of Thrones series kind of just let fall to the side. So definitely really enjoyed season 1. And the first episode of season 2, A Son for a Son, picks up right after the end of season 1. So excuse me, it deals with the immediate aftermath of what happened at the end there, where Prince Lucerys, who is Rhaenyra's son, was killed by Aemond, and they're dealing with the fallout from that. Now, it was kind of an accident. They showed at the end of season 1, it was like he didn't really mean to do it, which I actually don't like that change. I wish he had just like committed to killing him. But they kind of do this thing in the show where a lot of stuff that is presented as very intentional from the books is presented as like accidental or mistakes. Now, I kind of get what they're going for. They're going for this kind of Forrest Gump thing, or funny enough, just like Rome, the other HBO series that, in fact, I just finished a video about Rome that's going to be released soon. But they're doing this thing where it's like the quote unquote history that we know is not quite accurate, and it's like in reality, things didn't go down the way we thought they did. There's a lot more randomness that was part of this, and it's like the history, which is what we know from the books. Like we do know the history of this stuff, but it's presented as like a historical account, not like a it's not like the main books where we're seeing it happen in real time, so we know what is actually happening. We're taking people's word that this stuff happened. So there is some wiggle room for them to be like, no, this isn't actually how it happened. This is the real history, and the history books got it wrong. So I kind of get what they're going for, but there's some stuff that still kind of annoys me. And so in the immediate aftermath of this, we open with in the north at with House Stark, Cregan Stark, the Lord of Winterfell. He's a young ruler. He meets with Prince. I don't remember what his name is, just Jacaerys or something. But he's the oldest of Rhaenyra's sons, and he supports the blacks against the greens, but he is focused on the north. Now, it's interesting we bring up the whole north thing in the wall. Uh, Obviously, we know from Game of Thrones that the White Walkers are real, and that's a real threat. And they actually connect it to the Song of Ice and Fire in this show, and it's revealed that the Targaryens know that the White Walkers are a real threat, and they're kind of being like, at least Viserys was trying to prepare for that. So I don't know if they'll actually do some White Walker stuff in the show. We don't know yet, but it would be interesting. They draw some attention to it right here. But Cregan promises to send the winter wolves, as they're called, the older northern soldiers, to fight for Rhaenyra. So we'll have to see how that shakes out this season. But back in the main action, Rhaenyra is dealing with the loss of her son. She's absent for most of the episode. She's kind of dealing with her grief. Daemon wants to get vengeance against Aemond and kill him, but everyone else is kind of like cautioning, like let's just take it slowly. The Greens are like, we know it's gonna come to war, but like let's not just be rash and just like attack them. Like let's be diplomatic. However, there's other factions that want to go more aggressive, including the king, Aegon. He's trying to be a good king. I will say that they paint him actually pretty decent. Like they paint him as like he's a little bit dumb, but he's trying to do the right thing. Like he's not a complete asshole. So they are making the Greens a little bit sympathetic, which I appreciate. Although there's a weird change here where they have Queen Alicent in a relationship with Kristen Cole. That's not from the books. It's not, out of the realm of possibility that happened. And maybe it is from the books. I don't know. I've said this before, but I have not actually read Fire and Blood, which is the most recent historical book. I've read The Queen and the Princess, and I've read The Rogue Prince. But I've not read Fire and Blood. So if there's new stuff that's been added in Fire and Blood, I don't know it. But at least in those first two books, there's nothing to suggest that they were together. But not a horrible change. Like, it doesn't really hurt anything to have them sleeping together. It kind of makes them both a little bit hypocrites, but that's fair. However, the worst thing about this episode is the blood and the cheese aspect. So, Damon sends word to these two assassins to go kill Aemond, a son for a son, as the title says. And it's these two guys who, they don't call them Blood and Cheese in this episode, I don't think so, but history remembers them as Blood and Cheese, so maybe that's intentional that they weren't named in the episode itself. But it's a rat catcher and a city watch guard. Go in there, they sneak into the castle, and they're supposed to kill Aemond, but instead they find Helena, who's the wife of King Aegon, and their two kids, and they kill one of the kids instead and cut off his head and take it to deliver for the gold. Now, this scene is different in the books a little bit, and again, you could argue that the history's not right. That's a legend that came up later, and this is what actually happened. But I like the historical account more. So in the books, it's said that these two find Helena and her children, and I think it's implied that they were there for them specifically, not Aemond, but whatever. Let's just assume that's fine. But they make Helena choose between her two sons. She's got an older son and a younger son, and they're like, pick, or we're going to kill both of them. And she doesn't want to, but eventually she gives in, and she picks the youngest one. And they're very cruel, and they're like, you hear that, boy, your mama wants you dead. And then they kill the older one, the one that she didn't pick, as like a, again, trying to just stick that knife in there. So, and that drives Helena insane. She was always a little bit kind of weird, at least in this show, but it drives her completely insane. So I think that would have been a more dramatic portrayal. It's not done the same way here. And again, I think I know what they wanted to do. I think they wanted it to be like, again, it's more accidental. It's not all part of this dramatic telling from history that we know. It's like truth and the legend disagree. But I was disappointed. I was like, I thought that would have been a cooler. It would have been more cruel. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they wanted to soften the killing. Maybe they didn't want it to be so, make Daemon and the Blacks look so cruel as a result. I don't know. But it was a little disappointing, the blood and the cheese angle. But besides that, overall, I mean, I thought it was a good episode. I'm looking forward to it. I like the characterization so far. It's very much like a slow burn episode until the end there, and now shit's about to get real moving forward here. But overall, I thought it was fine. Just that blood and cheese angle could have been a little bit better. So that's pretty much it for this reaction. I'm going to react to these as they come out, so you have that to look forward to. But thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for more House of the Dragon reactions coming soon.